Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Work at Home Rockstar podcast. Excited for today's interview with my friend Majeed. This is from a long time ago. We've known each other for quite a while now. And what he is he's a public speaking coach for entrepreneurs. He helps entrepreneurs make more money and attract more clients with a signature speech. Excited to be rocking out today with Majeed Mogharreban. Hey, Majeed, you ready to rock?
Let's rock, Tim. Good to see you.
Let's rock. So we always start off here on a good note. So tell me a story of success in your business we can be inspired by.
Yeah, I made six figures in a day. And that blew my mind because I came from a family where no one had ever made six figures even in a year. And I felt like a total rock star. And I saw six figures cash in my bank account. And it all came crashing down very soon afterwards. I'll tell you about that.
Yeah. I made six figures in a year once, and it all came crashing down afterwards too.
Yeah.
So tell me, I mean, like you said, I mean, sometimes the good note comes with a bad note. So what's that bad note? How did that happen?
Well, I learned this principle later, which is called growth, mess, cleanup. So you have a growth. For me, it was like I had a bunch of clients come in, lots of money come in, lots of expectations. The mess was from that growth and not being able to handle it. And then the cleanup was like learning through the systems. So I sold a service that I was planning to hire other people to deliver on my behalf. It required me to hire support.
Yeah.
So I made the sales. I got the support. The support was very expensive. And I thought that if I paid them a lot, they're going to be very good. Because I had the experience of hiring people for very cheap and they were being bad. So I thought, oh, well, then if I just hire really expensive people, I'm talking 100 US dollars an hour.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out I did not have the skill of choosing the right people, training them in the right way, managing them in the right way. And not only did I discover I didn't have that skill, but I spent so much time trying to figure that out. I took my eyes off of the sales and marketing, which was my main focus up until that point. So the sales dropped. The service delivery was mediocre at best. The clients were upset, and I had never had the experience of dealing with upset clients. So my knee-jerk reaction was apologize, refund. And refund was hard because I had already spent most of that money on these hires. And then these hires weren't doing the job that I wanted them to do. So I let them go. So then I was stuck. So I went from six figures cash in the bank, and I felt like we need to have a rap music video, and I need to be just like throwing money out of a convertible or something, to negative six figures, which looks like $0 in the bank, which looks like overdraft fees. It looks like maxed out credit cards, and it looks like a mailbox getting fuller and fuller and fuller of letters from the credit card company saying, hey, what's going on? And I remember being in my backyard thinking I had failed my family. I've got two kids and a wife. And I remember my now ex-wife saying, don't worry, it's just money. We're going to be okay. And I looked at her like she didn't quite understand the situation here. Don't you understand? We're below zero. We're negative $100,000. And that's when I realized I was making my net worth equal my self-worth. So when I have $100,000 in the bank, I'm a rap music star video. I'm a king. When I'm a negative 100,000, I'm a complete loser, whatever. So that mindset is very dangerous. It's fun when things are going well, but when you tie your self-worth to your bank account balance, that's a roller coaster ride, not very fun as an entrepreneur. So learned a lot from that experience.
Wow. What would you have done differently?
Well, I made the mistake of believing that my $100,000 day was going to be a regular occurrence. And what I would have done differently is I would not have, I wouldn't have hired. I had the idea that the more I spend, the better they must be. Just not true. So I would not have hired the most expensive people I could find. I maybe wouldn't have sold something that I couldn't personally deliver myself, which I realize keeps a pretty small cap on my business, but that's how I operate now. I deliver all of my services myself. My business is in the high six figures now, still very profitable, but I have not learned building a team and having the team run the whole business for you. And I'm not sure it's really right for everybody. I'm not really sure it's right for me. So maybe been a little bit more conservative about what I was selling in terms of what my deliverable was, and then being a lot more conservative about what my future projected revenues would be. Because when I saw that result on that day, I said, oh, well, I'll just do this once a month. There's a 7-figure business right there. Little did I know that some months are good and some months are not as good.
Yeah.
Revenue wise. Yeah.
Wow. Man, it's so interesting how things sometimes align with what's going on in my life right now, because I'm at the point right now where I want to grow. I want to start to bring on some more people and to have them perform the tasks that I do right now. Because I'm in the same boat as you. I do everything myself right now in terms of what I'm doing with my business. And there are a couple things I suppose that I delegate, but I talked to some people on this show that don't do any of it. They do exactly what you just said. They basically sell this product or this service and then hire other people to do it for them. And so I know that that's possible, right? But there's got to be a way. There's got to be a middle ground, of doing that. Look, what do you think? Is there a middle ground?
Well, there are a couple things. One is I now have a network of trusted service providers that I refer to regularly. And they give me a percentage of the sale, usually around 20%. So let's say one of my clients needs someone to build a podcast for them.
Yeah.
I love referring to my podcast guy. He gives me like $500 when I refer him a new client. And that's on his brand. And I'm not saying my company is going to launch you a podcast. I'm saying I know a guy, he's great. That's a referral. So that's one way to mitigate the risk for your brand and your reputation. Is your reputation is still on the line anytime you make a recommendation.
That's right.
But you're not saying this is my company delivering that service.
Yeah.
On another side, when I'm hiring, after spending well over $50,000 hiring different people for sales and marketing support, whether you're going to build me a funnel or run ads, I decided, and what's working for me now is I'm working with a couple of partners who are doing sales and marketing and lead generation for me, and I'm paying them a percentage of sales. Wow. That means if you get me 0 sales, I'm paying $0. And if you get me lots of sales, you're getting lots of dollars. There's one guy I'm working with right now. He's just making introductions to people who have audiences that I come and speak to and make offers and make sales. I told him I'll give him 20% of sales that I make on any audience from any introduction he's making. And he's making introductions like hotcakes. And he's making thousands of dollars. But I have 0 downside risk in terms of, like, I'm not going to pay him 20 grand and he's going to say, I promise I'll go make a bunch of introductions. I've done that before, by the way.
Yep.
I've paid 20 grand on the promise I'm going to make you lots of introductions and they're going to be very good. And in that case, in that specific case, I did get a net positive ROI, but there was a risk to me that I might lose $20,000. So I'm now much more mindful of the risk and how to mitigate it and how to align our incentives.
Wow. Wow. So now in my business right now, I'm actually thinking about doing the opposite. So I'm thinking about finding somebody who's able to do some of the technical work. Because I'm wearing 2 major hats in my business, where I'm the salesperson and I'm also the tech person. And I feel like it's easier to hand off the tech stuff than the sales stuff, but you're handing off the sales stuff and you're doing the work stuff. That seems scary to me. So, like, how do you impart your branding message onto a salesperson so that they can talk about you the way that you want them to talk about you?
That's a good question. So right now, as we're speaking, I have a team of people that are in my Instagram DMs as me. And they're not identifying, saying, "Hey, not actually Majeed. I'm someone else typing this." So I'm mindful of my reputation as I'm currently engaged in probably 100 conversations in Instagram right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a script. It's a Google Doc, and there's a bunch of like how to respond to these questions. There's some language that I would use because I like to kind of be fun and informal with language. So if I'm talking to a guy, I might say bro or dude, or if I'm talking to a woman, I might say sister or something. That's kind of my style. Throw in some emojis just to make it like human and fun. And I will also go into my own DMs, drop in a voice note, drop in a little video message, and they're continuously learning my style. And I've got lots of content, podcast interviews, short form videos that my team is watching to get a sense of my language. And, we had one person in the Philippines and she kept using the word kindly. Like, would you kindly fill out this form? Would you kindly let me know when you've booked your appointment? And I don't do kindly. So I just take a screenshot and I circle it and like, no more kindlies, please. So that's one of the ways that we get the voice right. So it's a constant evolution of feedback and familiarity and using a Google Doc script.
Wow. Brilliant. Okay, that's very, very useful because I know that there's a lot of people that are looking to find people to do sales for them. And that's some really good advice. So, you mentioned a couple different tools, Google Docs and stuff like that. What other tools do you use in your business to get success?
Okay, tools. So I have the whole Apple ecosystem. I've got the iPad, iPhone, MacBook, and it's all synced to the cloud. And one of my design principles for my business from an IT perspective is that my whole hardware could be lost and I can be up and running fully functional on anybody else's phone, tablet, or computer, Mac, or PC. Meaning that everything is on the cloud and a login away.
Yeah.
So I'm on Gmail, I'm on Google Drive, I use Zoom, I have a Facebook group. Now, at one point, my Facebook account got hacked. That put a real damper on my functionality because I use Facebook in a lot of ways. So I've now set up a secondary account and gotten that secondary account to be a member in all of my Facebook groups just in case I lose my account again. It took me a few months and I had to email a buddy at Facebook to like open up a trouble ticket because if you got an issue with Facebook, they got zero support. You're screwed.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think of my phone as my mobile broadcast studio. As an experiment, I went to Spain for a month, running my whole business, podcast interviews. I ran a 3-day event on Zoom. I did all of my coaching. I even launched and sold a new product, all from my iPhone.
Wow.
So I can be fully 100% functional on iPhone. There's just some things I like to do on laptop. One of my favorite tools, so Zoom, I use I'm a power user of Zoom. I'm on Zoom all day. And one of the things that I have is I have a business license, which costs me about $2,000 a year. Mm-hmm. But what it does is it gives me 500 gigabytes of cloud storage. So I record everything to the cloud. And it automatically transcribes everything. So what I have is I have an automation set up where I get on a Zoom call, I press record to the cloud. At the end of the Zoom call, Zoom emails my Gmail and it says cloud recording of your meeting in the subject line. I have a filter set up in Gmail that will detect that subject line and automatically forward it to my assistant. I have a type form set up with some fields to fill in, and the fields are first name, last name, email, and cloud recording link. So my assistant does that manually. So this is like a human automation. Then clicks submit. That generates an email that goes to me and the person that I met with. She finds the person's email by going into my calendar.
Yep.
My calendar appointments are formed on Calendly, which is my scheduler. So everybody I meet with automatically with a little human part in the automation,
Yeah.
automatically gets a recording and transcription of our meeting. I could not figure out a way to make that happen fully automated. So this is like my duct tape solution. So every meeting I get is recorded and transcribed and submitted to whoever I met with. And then the last tool I'll tell you about is Loom. It's one of my favorite tools, loom.com. There's a phone app, and there's you can do it from your browser, and it's like the world's easiest screen recording. You click record, it goes 3, 2, 1, boom, it's recording, whether you're on your phone or on your computer. And then when you're done, you click done, and there's a link, and you can just send someone that link. So I use that all the time in my communications. Like if I'm talking to my assistant and I say, hey, I'm on my website, I just found this thing, it needs to get fixed, can you have a look at it? And I'm just screen recording, and it takes like 1 second to do. It's so good. Loom, loom.com.
Wow, man, you are right dialed into those tools. I use all those tools as well. Now, one thing I didn't know is I did not know that Zoom offers transcribing directly in Zoom. I use something called Descript, where I have to load it in, and then it transcribes the call. So yeah, you've got. I'm gonna have to check that out. There's another application that another guest was on called Fathom, I believe, and that does similar. It records your calls, and it might actually automatically send. So I'm going to make a note to look into that, because that might solve your last issue.
Hi, my name is Enigma Lafon from Mastering Ascension, and I've been working with Tim Melanson and the Creative Crew Agency for a number of years now. Tim is my go-to guy for all things technology, and his team have helped me to really create the platform that I need that represents my brand, my message, and connects me directly to my ideal clients. What I particularly love about Tim is before he starts to dive into the technology, he always makes sure that he understands what your global view is, what your ultimate goals are. So then that way you're not wasting a lot of time back and forth switching around technology or platforms. He creates something from the get-go that is scalable, which is highly beneficial for any business. What I've experienced from Tim and his team is they're highly responsive. They are a wealth of information, and they're going to offer you the tools that you need to really make the mark that you want to make in the world. So that's my recommendation for Tim. He's awesome. You're going to love every minute. You won't regret it.
But yeah, well, that's amazing. So now you got it dialed in. That's really great. We met through going to presentations and learning from other people. And, that's been something that I've always thought was important. And I assume you do as well. But tell me a little bit more about, what do you do to keep learning? Who do you learn from? Do you have masterminds? How do you approach that whole topic?
Learning is something that I have an interesting relationship with at this point in my life. And I identify as a teacher. When I'm in the line at the customs and they say, what's your profession? I say teacher. That I am a teacher, right? And the reason I'm cautious about the word learning is I think it can become a thing that people mistake for doing something useful. Because there is unlimited amounts of learning available today. I could be scrolling TikTok for an hour and convince myself that I'm learning. I could be going through YouTube videos and convince myself that I'm learning. Oh, I just learned that the pyramids in Egypt were actually built by aliens. I learned that for 2 hours on a documentary. There's a lot of learning available.
Yep.
And there's a lot of teachers. And what can become a real quicksand pit for an entrepreneur is a lot of learning from multiple teachers. If you ask 10 different business consultants, one will tell you launch with a low ticket tripwire and a funnel. Some will say don't use ads. The next one will say use ads. The next one will say high ticket. The next one will say low ticket. And you hear all of it, and they're all right.
Yep.
And then people try to do all of them. So I am trying to learn less. So with that preamble, I'll tell you what I am doing now. I'm doing about 2 audiobooks a week. on audible.com. Listen to it at 2x speed at the gym. So 3 visits or 4 visits to the gym, and I got a book in me. I'm in a community called Archangel. That is my coaching community. And we learn a tactic one week and we implement it the next week. I just took a 1-month retreat for artists where I learned creativity and experience design. And I find that I learn well in immersive containers that are in person. I don't do so well with like 12-week programs where we meet once a week. I get distracted.
Yeah.
And I listened to Marla Mattinson, Jesse Johnson, Jesse Elder, Sachin Patel. And I listened to each of them for different reasons. Marla Mattinson and Jesse Johnson are both descendants of David Nagel, and I like to know people's lineage, like who was their coach, right? And David Nagel was a descendant of Bob Proctor, and Bob Proctor is a teacher of manifestation from Napoleon Hill, the original gangster, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
And what Jesse Johnson and Marla Mattinson have mastered that I really appreciate is a level of comfort and ease around very large numbers for money. $50,000 coaching clients, $100,000 coaching clients, $20,000 programs, $50,000 retreats. And that's so far out of my regular day-to-day that I'm just like, how did you do that? And so I've worked with both of them. Jesse Elder practices a level of self-authorized freedom that I really appreciate. So he moves through the world very decisively, very self-authorized, very much not afraid of the rejection or opinion of other people, which I really appreciate. And he calls himself an action philosopher. And Sachin Patel is the wellness and functional medicine expert that I learned from. And so that's wellness and freedom and high ticket sales and manifestation. Those are the topics that I really love to study.
Love it. I am on chapter 4 of Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. And I read Think and Grow Rich, years ago. And Outwitting the Devil was one of those ones that came across my desk. I think our mutual friend, Matt Britt, was reading it probably 15 years ago. Yeah. And I remember thinking, well, that sounds entertaining. And I was more interested in reading things like, John C. Maxwell books and leadership. And so I sort of dismissed it. And it just kind of came across my desk again recently. And I downloaded the audiobook. Why didn't I listen to it earlier? What's
been your biggest insight? I listened to it on audio and I could not name a single thing I remember from it. What's been your biggest insight from Outwitting the Devil?
So the first 3 chapters are really about his background and how he got to the point where he's actually in this conversation with the devil. And it was interesting, and it kind of like sets the stage. But now I'm only 20 minutes into the conversation with the devil, and today, like, his first topic is about drifting, about basically not thinking for yourself. And I think the context of that right now, as we've just gone through crazy stuff where we've been basically told, don't think for yourself, just don't think for yourself. And that is literally, from this book, the devil's number one trick is to encourage people to not think for themselves.
Got it.
And I'm not even sure what he's going to say next, because I'm just starting the book. But yeah, cool. But I mean, just starting with that, like, I know that for me and for the people that I tend to gravitate towards for the last 20, 30 years, it's all been free thinkers. And has it been awesome all the time? No, we argue a lot because we have different thoughts. but we're
Yeah.
all still buddies and we're all still friends and we respect each other's differing opinions. And over the last 2 years, I've found that people have lost the respect for someone who thinks differently than them and think that's dangerous. And I
Yep.
hope that that's going to change over the next several years. And so
Yeah.
we'll see, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whew. Okay, so now you mentioned the word practice many times through what you've been talking about today, and so I want to know what's your practice? How do you practice? How do you stay good at what you do, and how do you keep going?
I've been delivering some version of the same exact speech since 2018. In theater, there's a term called the sense of discovery, which is the way that you should, if you're performing on Broadway, you're doing the same show every single night, 100 nights in a row. Night 100 better be just as good or better than night one. And so I'm practicing delivering what might feel like the same speech. I'm a different person. My listener who maybe heard it before is a different person. Maybe they're going to hear different things. But what's changed about my business is when I started over 10 years ago, speaking on the speaking circuit meant getting on an airplane and going to a hotel and getting on a stage.
Mm.
And now the speaking circuit is podcasts, summits, webinars, YouTube, TikTok. And what's amazing is that everybody has the whole world's stage in their pocket on their phone.
Mm-hmm.
And so what practice might look like is taking out your phone and pressing record. And what I recommend for people is to do live, Instagram live, Facebook live, TikTok live, whatever it is. Because in my experience, if you're alone in a room and you want to record a video, what's probably going to happen is you're going to start recording. And then at some point, 5 seconds in, 30 seconds in, 10 minutes in, you're going to go, shoot. And then you're going to hit stop and you're going to say, I better start over.
Yep.
Or maybe a phone call is going to come in the middle of your recording and you go, geez, I forgot to put my phone on do not disturb or whatever.
Yeah.
So going live is a one-step production process. There's no uploading. How many times have I recorded a video and then said, I'll upload it later?
Yep.
Right. I'll upload it when I get on Wi-Fi, and then it becomes a whole project. Right. So that's what practice looks like. And I have a spreadsheet of all of the speeches and webinars and podcasts I've done in the last 10 years. And that's based on the principle that whatever you measure improves. And I measure 3 things every month. I measure dollars, I measure new clients, and I measure number of speeches. Those are my KPI, my key performance indicators. Mm-hmm. So I have a target number of dollars, I have a target number of speeches, and a target number of client every month. And then throughout the month, I look at my number and I say, okay, I've got 2 new clients this month. I want to get 8 new clients this month. I got 6 more clients in 2 more weeks. What can I do in the next 2 weeks to invite 6 more clients? Or, I've done 3 speeches this month. I wanted to do 6 speeches this month. We're halfway through. Great. We're on target. Where are my next 3 speeches coming from? So tracking, measuring, that's what practice looks like.
Totally agree. Yeah, absolutely. What's funny is that I've been running open mics and open jams for a long time. I was running them in Ottawa back in the day. And so I've kept that up. And I always have believed, when I sit around to try to practice my music, it's the exact same thing as what you just said. Oh crap. Oh crap. But then as soon as I hit record on that camera, whatever it is, and then run through it, it's totally different. It's a better way to learn things. And I've done these things called 90 days of music a couple times when I'm struggling to find stuff. And what I'll do is I'll just record one take, a song, and put it up live. It wasn't live because I don't even think we had lives back then when the last time I did it. But you know what? That's a great idea. Start to do daily lives or weekly lives, because you learn a lot more, because in a real scenario, you're never going to get the same situation. I know there's lots of people that will get something nailed at home, sitting home alone, but then as soon as they get up on stage, they can't do it. and
Yeah.
there's something different about it. I
Yeah.
don't know what it is. What
I'll share with you a tactic that works really well for me and it works really well for a lot of my clients is you announce to your audience that might look like a social media post that you're going to do something every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned this first when I said, I'm going to do 100 days of green smoothies. And I'm going to take a picture of me and my green smoothie and post it every day. And making that announcement made me feel like, okay, I just said I was going to do it. I'm not going to look like a dumbass. I'm going to do it. And
Yep.
I don't know if anybody's keeping track of this, but in my imagination, there's like a panel of judges going, all right, is he going to post it every day? And so I did my first post, says day 1 of 100, green smoothie. Take a selfie picture, me and my green smoothie. Next day, day 2 of 100. And by day 100, I've probably done it 95, maybe 90 times, not 100 times. But how this translates is I'll tell my clients, go online right now, take 30 seconds and say, I'm going to do a live video every day at 9 a.m. for the next 10 days. What questions would you like to see me answer over the next 10 days? Some people get some response. Some people don't get much response, but they just said they're going to do, and you're going to do what you said you're going to do, right? You feel a little bit of pressure to keep your word, right?
Accountability.
Some people have never done a live before. But it's amazing how much progress someone can make in 10 days with 10 live videos. They're like so much better, right? So anybody who's thinking about, I don't have the discipline to practice, I don't have the consistency to practice, try using external
Motivation
by saying, here's what you're going to do. And, come up with some kind of reward for yourself if you like. And the more you do what you say you're going to do, the more you build confidence in yourself.
Yeah, I can't even add anything to that. It's time for your guest solo. So tell me what's exciting in your business right now. I'd like to hear.
What's exciting in my business right now?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I'm doing something. I can't believe I didn't think of this before. But I'm streamlining the thing that works really well for my business in a way that I think is going to make me do it 1/10 the amount of work. So despite all the different things I've tried to market myself, the one thing that works better than anything else is giving a speech to someone else's audience. What that looks like, Tim, let's say I say, hey, Tim, you've got an email list, you've got a Facebook group, you've got a following. Let's do a webinar and let's get all your people to register for my webinar. And then I'll teach your people my stuff, and then I'll make my pitch. And that's how I make all my sales. And so I literally, the way I make more sales is I ask more people, can I do a webinar? Can I do a webinar? Then the other day I get on a call with the guy and he says, hey, I do 1 webinar a month. And I get 10 different audiences to promote it. And then after my 1 monthly webinar, I get all of my 10 promotion partners to get on a Zoom call, and I connect all my promotion partners with each other. It's a very high value connection call. Would you like to be one of my promotion partners? Light bulb goes off. I'm like, boom, why am I not doing this?
Yeah.
Why am I not doing this? This is so much better. So I've got probably 50 different promotion partners that I go onto their audience and I do speeches for their audiences. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to them and I'm saying, hey, I'm going to do 1 webinar this month. Would you like to be a promotion partner for that webinar? You don't even need to show up on our webinar. Just send out a couple emails to your list. And then afterwards, I'll connect all of our promotion partners. It's going to be great. So that feels like a big streamline for me. I haven't seen it work yet. I haven't done it yet, but that's what I'm working on right now.
Cool. So then how can are we going to be able to find out about this? How do we find out about this?
Yeah, well, let me add you to my list of promotion partners, and you can promote it if you like.
Beautiful.
Yeah, or at least have a look at how I'm doing it. So I'm looking at my spreadsheet right now, Tim. I'm putting you on my spreadsheet.
Excellent.
But if you want to find out, so I'm expert speaker on TikTok. You can go to TikTok /@expertspeaker, or you can find me on Instagram at Majeed Mogharreban, or Facebook Majeed Mogharreban, or expertspeaker.com. You can get my book for free at expertspeakerbook.com. You can download the PDF instantly, or you can go to Amazon and buy the book. It's called Expert Speaker: 5 Steps to Grow Your Business with Public Speaking. You can book a one-on-one strategy call with me if you're interested in coaching to grow your business with public speaking. The strategy call is at expertspeaker.com/apply, APPLY. So that's how you find out about what I got going on. And I haven't even scheduled the one webinar to rule them all, for them all to promote. But that'll be probably 2-3 weeks from now.
Perfect. So now tell me, who would be the person that would get the most out of working with you? Like who would that be?
I work with a lot of coaches. I work with a lot of people in health and wellness, like functional medicine practitioners. Anybody who has a high ticket offer or wants to have a high ticket offer, I teach them how to get on a stage, deliver a talk that teaches people how to solve the problem that they solve, and then they make a high ticket offer. So for example, a lot of people I work with help people lose weight. Like functional medicine doctors, their clients want to lose 30 pounds. So they'll give a talk called How to Lose 30 Pounds and Keep It Off Without Pills, Surgery, or Crash Diets, right? And they'll give a 10-minute talk, and they'll talk about metabolism, and they'll talk about hormones, and they'll talk about some success stories of people losing 30 to 50 to even 100 pounds.
Yep. And
then at the end, they'll say, if you'd like to be in your ideal weight 8 weeks from today, sign up for my program right now. It's $5,000. I'll hold your hand the whole step of the way. We'll do, et cetera, et cetera. And then they get a bunch of sales. And the reason they make sales is because the mistake people make is they try to teach everything in a talk. But what they should be doing is telling stories that are visual and emotional. That's what gets people to buy. So I teach, whether it's a life coach or an HR consultant or a financial advisor or a functional medicine doctor or a health coach, I teach them how to give valuable, informative presentations that also sell high-ticket clients.
Love it. Thank you so much for rocking out with me today, Majeed. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Tim.
To the listeners, make sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. We'll see you next time on the Work at Home Rockstar podcast.